The parable of the dragnet cast into the sea contains two elements which the people around Jesus would have found very familiar. The first one is the dragnet itself. Some of his disciples were fishermen, and a lot of those gathered around Jesus to hear his word were also fishermen. So casting a net into the waters and hauling it ashore at the end of the day when it was full would have been a daily task. The other element is the blazing furnace. The blazing furnace would have reminded the first hearers of the parable about the valley of the Dragnet in Jerusalem. That was a valley where an ancient times equivalent of an incinerator was, and the fire, the smoke rising from the fire, never stopped. It is where people burnt their rubbish. It was a ritually unclean place. But also, at the time of the kings, it was the place where the altar to the pagan god Moloch was. So not only a ritually unclean place, but also a place in a sense defiled by pagan worship and cut off from God. With these two elements in mind, we can understand the parable of the dragnet cast into the sea a little bit better. We are not the fishermen, we are not even the net, we are just the fish. It is the action of God, the kingdom of heaven, that will gather everyone at the end time. And the parable simply tells us no one is outside the action of God and the kingdom of heaven when it brings everyone to judgment. We are the fish, so what type of fish, what type of individual are we? Are we the good ones or the ones that the parable defines as useless, of no use? The good ones are those individuals that strive to produce good fruit, good works, mercy and love works, under the influence of the grace of God. Those who are good for nothing, how shall we define them? We could say they are those that haven't produced good works, those who haven't achieved much in a Christian sense. But actually, the idea of the Dragnet gives us a better insight. Those are the fish, those are the individuals who not only have produced little, but also those who have willingly cut themselves off from God. We believe in a God who is a merciful Redeemer, a merciful Judge, a loving God. So with this in mind, we can say that God does not want anyone to be lost. So those who are thrown into the blazing fire are those who have themselves willingly cut themselves off from God, who have refused Him, and thus they have produced little in terms of works of mercy, works of charity, under the influence of God's grace.